Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Speedrun Ragnarok 2024. Just me, one time this time. I'm not going to be echoing or containing multitudes or the voice of the Legion this time. So, we're going to be doing some Blaster Master US Warpless with davidtki, and we do want to get in some incentives here. The Marin's date is still currently at 0. We want to date Marin. Lots of people want to date Marin, but only one will. But get those donations in. We also have some Gartic phone shenanigans percent incentives. I definitely want to see chaos there. So go ahead and do that. And also update to Shrug percent was met for Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. But we also, do we want to randomize the Dark King sprite? I think that's going to take $200. So please go ahead and get those donations in. It all goes to take this. It's all brought to you by the RPG Valkyries, and I am going to get out of the way for davidtki.
Hi y'all. So I have left myself on this screen because, as noted, there is a photosensitivity warning for Blaster Master that starts from the very moment that I get into the game. This is your final warning. I'm going to start the game now. And here we go. There we go, flashing colors. Alright, the US version does have an opening that the Japanese version doesn't. So, Jason has a frog. He's named Frog the Fred. The frog is not crate trained. There is a box of plutonium outside. There are flashing lights on the box of plutonium. There is a big hole in the yard. Jason, go down the hole. For some reason, there's a tank down here. So Jason decides to take it for a joyride. And that is the plot to this game. So let's just go ahead and get this started. Time begins when we gain control of the tank. So I'll go ahead and just let us know when we're about to do that. Ready, and start. Alright, so this game could very easily also be called Jump and Shoot Tank the Musical, because it's got some very good Sunsoft tracks out. And some randomness. It kind of hurts a bit. Ooh, 1H already on level 1? I'll get into that a little bit later, but for now, this is basically a platforming Metroidvania. The game is divided into 8 areas, and there's like 4 or 5 dungeons in every different area, but like only one of them actually has the boss. So most of the game is going to be go to the correct dungeon, hop out of your vehicle. In this case, I've hopped out well in advance because Jason swims through the water a lot faster than Sophia the Third drives through it. So yeah, the correct dungeon is right here. We're going to enter it and going to end up in a top-down view. You do have a gun meter to the left which can power up this little pea shooter. We're not going to bother with that, because every time you take damage, you lose a little bit of gun power, and we're going to be damage boosting through things a lot, so we're never going to keep a good gun going. Besides, the A button will also throw out grenades, and grenades are far more powerful than your gun will ever be anyways. We've got 3 skull robot enemies here. They all drop sub-weapons for the tank. Flashing light warning. Yeah, every time you get to a boss room, you're going to see a bunch of flashing lights. It fades to black, and then we fight the boss. Now, this first boss is called Mother Brain. Metroid players wish Mother Brain was this easy, but you just throw a bunch of grenades at it. It flashes explosions. It drops an upgrade for Sophia. In this case, the first upgrade is it's Hyper, which is just an upgrade to your weapon from the cannon. Metroids are a lot easier in this game, too. Alright, we get back to the tank, and the shot is going to be noticeably bigger and make a slightly different shooting sound. The main thing this weapon does, though, is that it allows us to harm a gate monster that is guarding, well, the gate to Area 2. Just take it out real quick. I am trying to shoot every enemy as it appears on screen because this game is prone to lagging. I'm playing the US version, which lags more than the Japanese version. Oh, and Area 2 has introduced these little worm enemies that are normally too short for the tank's cannon to actually hit. Usually you need to use some sort of sub-weapon to hit them, or get out of the tank because Jason is short enough to hit him. Except most of the time you can just hit him on the way down or on the way up, like right here. Although this one I gotta jump up. Oops, did not get the jump there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Area 2 starts to get a little more maze-like. Uh-oh. Ow, that's gonna hurt. This is a game where you take a lot of damage. And usually, like, a lot of damage doesn't matter too much because most enemies can just drop health refills. But it's like a 30% chance, so like usually your health is fine until you get a bad luck streak and then suddenly it isn't. Yeah, a lot of mines here. Again, the mines are too short to hit normally, except if you line up your cannon just right, like on the way up, you can hit them on the way up. Whoa, that guy jumped over me. I forgot to mention why I'm pausing and unpausing in between each screen. It's because there's a scrolling animation that happens whenever you enter a room, and well, pausing and unpausing skips that scrolling animation and is faster. Yeah, rock out to Blaster Master music. Oh, I forgot to respond to a question in chat, which were, are my ears cold? No, they are not. So here's the point at which I would normally start to count H's, and I have apparently gotten 2 already, which is good. On the main overworld screen, you may have seen on the UI something that said HOV, which is for the hover bar. You can actually start filling it already. It starts at 0, but like you don't need the hover module to actually get any bars for it. You can fill up beforehand, and you do want to because you're going to need to. Again, flashing light warning. There's a well-known glitch to the bosses of areas 2, 4, 6, and 7. I believe the Nintendo Power magazine even mentioned this glitch. Just throw a grenade, pause, unpause. Uh-oh. I took a hit. That's unfortunate. But I didn't have to fight the boss again. Okay, I'll take that. I have died to that boss before. It happens more often than it should because you enter with not very much life, usually, because you're damage boosting through everything. Just threw me off guard a bit, but there goes the Deathless one I was hoping for. The category that I'm doing is Warpless, and what that really means is just no game overs. There's also a glitch that applies to the Japanese version only, where if you reset the console, like by pressing the reset button, you can start over the game from the beginning of Area 1, but still have all of your upgrades. Warpless says don't do that either, although since I'm doing the US version, it doesn't matter as much. Areas 1 and 2 have been kind of okay, but Area 3 starts to take off the training wheels a little bit. Area 3 is very difficult, although it also has one of my favorite background tracks ever. Yeah, Area 3 is very long and windy, and it's also got enemies that take up to 4 hits from your new weapon, which is called the Crusher, which is interesting. Hyper makes the shot big, and Crusher is what makes it rainbow. But you've also got these enemies that take 4 hits from Crusher, although only 1 hit from this triple missile sub-weapon that I picked up way back in Area 1. These enemies have a tendency to lose their marbles. How many H's is that? Is that 4 now? I normally need like 5. And I don't normally expect to be at 4 this early. Well, that's at least 4, maybe 5. It's worth keeping in mind because there are several enemies in this level that do drop the H's, and if I'm not getting very good luck on the drops, I may need to slow down to pick some up. Luckily, it seems like luck's on our side right now. That is a lot. Okay, we're definitely full up. We're not gonna have to stop for anything. These sine wave enemies, I think they're stingers? I don't know. They drop H's too. Anyways, just wind your way through here. Let's see. Triple missile that thing to take it out. I'm not going to bother stopping. Shoot triple missiles upwards, which is actually really difficult because you're supposed to hold down and B in order to fire your sub-weapon, but yet if you aim upward, you have just a little bit of lag time to fire your weapon. Whoops, did not make that jump. Alright.
Alright, if I could jump in, we do have a $55 donation from Alice Rujasu saying, "Hey, thanks to the Velks for letting me be a part of Speedrun Ragnarok, and thanks to David for showing off this run today. Hope you have a blast."
Thank you so much, Rujasu, and I really, really appreciate the puns, so please donate and give me your best dad jokes in chat or in donations because I love those jokes. Alright, dungeon for Area 3. This is usually when the speedrun starts to get really challenging because there's a lot of spikes here, and it's fastest to damage boost your way through them. But the boss to Area 3 is really quite challenging, and so you don't want to be low on health for this boss, but yet I'm going to be low on health anyways. Seeing as how I'm not getting very many health drops, I'm going to go ahead and take this room a little more carefully. Just to be sure, because with 1 death on the cards already, yeah, 3 health should be enough. This boss is called Photophage, which is a really awesome boss name. He's basically a block who appears in one place, and you gotta destroy each block as it appears. I'm gonna let that one go rather than take damage repositioning myself. If you don't destroy these blocks as they appear, then they're gonna start to get out of control. Okay, recovered it. Photophage is fine. Now, in a normal any percent run, we would either do a reset warp here, or we would take an intentional game over in order to warp back to the beginning of the stage, because when you take a game over, you end up back at the beginning of the stage. But the entrance to Area 4 is way back at the beginning of the game where we started, so we've got a lot of backtracking to do. But the upside to running this category is that anytime you do a warp, you reset your hover count, you reset all your sub-weapon counts, and so I'm gonna end up with more in my arsenal than I would normally, but we do have quite a bit of backtracking time to go here. So, Indigo, you got anything?
Well, let me check. I'm sure we do. Well, we still have some work to do on some of these incentives. Alice did help us with that Marin's Date incentive, and also the Ben Sprite for the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and the randomized Dark King Sprite also on that Mystic Quest run. So definitely get your incentives in for that. These all go to Take This, which is an excellent charity. Take This reaches out to gaming companies to help them promote healthier and more productive work environments and ensure that they have methods in place for helping employees who suffer from mental illness. If you want to learn more, please visit takethis.org. Also, !donate in the chat. Get that link to donate to us. Or rather, to Take This.
Alright, really quickly, I've changed my sub-weapon to the H missile. I think it's supposed to be heat-seeking missile. Flannel Cat called them once hissels, and I can't think of anything else now. They can be a useful sub-weapon because, well, they track your enemies and just go straight toward them. It can help with those ground enemies like the worms. But the thing with the hissels is that you can fire up to 4 of them on screen at once, and between the large amount and their animations, they tend to cause a lot of lag, so you gotta be very careful with your usage of them. Ow. Taking a lot of damage here. However, I have 6 hover going into this when normally you need like 2.5, so let's just burn some a little bit early. You've got H drops here. Most runners would prefer to swing wide rather than aim upward at those jumping enemies. It's alright though. One huge difference between Warpless and any other category is that when you do take a game over, you appear back at the beginning of the stage, but you appear back at the beginning of the stage with the tank. In any percent, it's possible to skip through Area 4 and go straight to Area 5, but in order to do so, you must abandon the tank, and, well, in order to get the tank back, you would need to do a game over. So, Warpless does have to do Area 4, but even though this is Warpless, we're not going to be doing Area 4 exactly normally. So, one quick bit is that each area has a map, and it's just one big overworld map. But then it's got its dungeons. Well, the dungeon is also just one big map, even though there's like 4 or 5 different entrances to it. The entrances place you in different places on that map, and normally the different entrances are separated by walls, so you can't cross them. But in this, they are separated by instant death water, so you can damage boost over it. You've got like half a second to do so. So it's very tricky, but if you're willing to go to the wrong entrance and do these damage boosts, you can get to the part of the path that the correct Area 4 dungeon is on. So it's one of those things that makes Warpless tricky, because you're damage boosting over instant death, and you have 1 CC. You're also getting a lot of hover drops in this dungeon. I should be at a full 8 going in. Flashing light warning. This boss looks a lot like the Frog the Fred that I was chasing down. Ouch. Wasn't all the way up. That's okay. The grenade glitch works just fine on this boss. Yeah, you just go all the way to the top of the screen, and after the frog's first jump, you should be safe up there. But it places me back at the entrance I was supposed to enter from, not the one that I actually entered from, so I gotta get back to my vehicle. Okay, we should be good here. Alright, we're back. So, yeah, that cuts off a lot of backtracking in Area 4. Normally, you would have to go to the very bottom of this sewer maze in order to get out. To get in and out. And we do have a separate glitchless category that actually does that, because we consider damage boosting over instant death to be a glitch. Who knew, right? Uh, I do have a quick moment if you've got anything you want to say.
Other than I was on the edge of my seat during that entire bit over the instant death water. We are so close to 4,000. I hope we can make it today during my block, but let's see. Soon as we get more donations, I'll read them. And please make me say things that are complicated to say.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to... Whoops. I went through the door transition animation the wrong way, which puts me on the other side of that door. We call that a door wrap. It's warpless, not wrapless. Different things. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the tank down here, shoot out these blocks, get out. Wait a minute. I have just trapped myself down here without the tank. It's gonna be fine. There's a method, but we're down here because it is far faster to swim than it is to take the tank through the water, of course. The tank sinks very slowly. If Area 3 is the point at which the training wheels come off, Area 5 is the point at which the game decides to stop holding back at all. Area 5 is very difficult because you are intended to go through most of this level without the tank. And so you're taking on these scuba divers that take 3 shots from your pellet. The crusher from the tank would kill them in 1 hit. You have to get all the way to the correct dungeon. But then it doesn't get any easier from there because the Area 5 dungeon has by far the most difficult boss in the game, whose name is Hardshell. And the grenade glitch does not work on Hardshell, so you gotta fight him normally. A bit of background, the very first speedrun I ever did was this game, this category, and I chose this category specifically because I could get a full gun upgrade specifically for the hardshell fight because I didn't want to learn how to do it without an upgraded weapon. Now, things have changed, of course. I'm no longer upgrading my weapon. But even then, most runners prefer to run the Japanese version because there is a trick for the boss, but it's got a 6-frame window on the Japanese version. But it's frame perfect on this one. I was too early there. Let's try it again. Oops. Nope, I am fighting the boss normally, which is perfectly fine. So, yeah, the crab just strays back and forth, shooting bubbles, and he's on phase 2 already. Phase 1 is just bubbles left and right at 45-degree angles. This one is like left, middle, right, left, middle, right. And even a single gun upgrade would make this fight a lot easier, because then you could stand way at the back and make it easier to oh, that's phase 3. Yeah, a single gun upgrade would allow you to stand all the way at the back. The pea shooter has only a limited range on minimum gun. One of the things that does make this fight easier is if you hold the A button, you will strafe. And so that way you can always be facing the correct direction. The bubbles do eat your shots. It's difficult to shoot past them. If you mash fast enough, you might be able to do it, but I'm not very good at mashing, so I prefer instead to just have the boss strafe into my shots. It works a lot better, and he's gone. Hardest boss in the game, no glitches.
Very good.
Yeah, most runners would play the Japanese version just to skip fighting that boss, but I've learned to run glitchless, so I'm not afraid anymore. You hear me? I'm not afraid anymore.
Hubris has entered the chat.
It's okay, I still gotta be careful because I need to make it back to the tank and I need to keep my health at reasonable levels. Oops, I accidentally switched sub-weapons. It's okay, I just gotta switch back. Let's see, I'm at 5 health for this. Oh, I switched over twice. Okay. I want to be at about 4 or more health for what I'm about to do here. Ow. Okay, 5 health will do it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the door wrap thing. In fact, we're going to do it 3 times. 3 times exactly. Door wraps are actually pretty easy to pull off underwater. Do not pause and unpause the screen when you go through this screen transition here. But especially, you do not want to die at this point, because if you die on this screen while the blocks are shifted like this, you will respawn in a wall and you will be soft locked. So you do not want to die here. But door wrapping 3 times like that shifted the visuals like 3 tiles so that I can swim up here, pause, unpause, and I am through that normally undestroyable set of blocks. And I forgot to switch to my whistles. So, whoops, 1 damage there. That's right, we get to Area 6, which is, it's a really cool stage. See what I did there?
Yay, ice physics.
Oh yeah, ice physics is right. You're going to be jumping a lot because you don't have ice physics in the air, but you do have ice physics on the ground. And in fact, there's a slight difference between the US and Japanese versions here. You have considerably less friction on the US version, so the ice physics are worse in the US version. I do, however, have 8 hover going into here, which is one reason I like to run Warpless, is because that opens up, that basically opens up a shortcut that most other categories will not have. Any of the any % categories will not have enough hover coming into this because they keep resetting, but I can just jump here, hover here, and cut off like that whole corner of the room. I didn't have to travel all the way up the left side and then take platforms along the top. There's a leap of faith coming up here. Ooh, good. Yeah, if you miss that jump, you could use a little bit of hover to maybe recover it. I don't know. It's probably safest to just do hover, but I don't know. Hubris has entered the chat. My doing will be my unhubris someday. Alright. Oh, those jumps are pretty difficult to make. Area 6 is, yeah, pretty prone to lag. Ooh, did not get that worm on the way up. This next room is going to have a bunch of flying enemies on screen, and you could try to use pistols to take them out. It's possible in theory to go faster by just shooting them normally, but it's got a higher bar for execution because they move around somewhat erratically. It's not really random. You can predict their movement, but yeah, it's just... Oh, there's going to be a neat trick for this next room. Normally, you would have to deal with ice physics and spikes, but hey, I can just walk along the bottom of the room.
Yep, no spikes on those tiles.
It's a nice way to get through the room, and I don't know if we consider it a glitch or not. I don't know. Another neat thing to be aware of is that the ice is slippery, but spikes are not, so sometimes it's easier to just walk on the spikes to line yourself up. Then we get to the Area 6 boss flashing light warning, which is actually not as free as it seems, even if you have the grenade glitch. I gotta position myself here. Okay, I think that looks good, but this boss is prone to lagging out. If he throws a lot of heavy projectiles on screen, and if there's too much lag when he dies, then he might go into a zombie state where he's moving around, but his health bar is empty, and he can still hurt you, but for all intents and purposes, he's actually dead. You just gotta wait for him to actually start exploding. We don't want zombie, and the less lag you generate, the less likely it is. So position yourself left of the boss so that he throws out fewer projectiles, and shoot only one grenade, because more grenades is more lag.
Yeah, but you made it look easy, so there wasn't any problem.
I generally make this game look easy when I play it. Except for the Area 2 boss. Area 2 boss got me. The upgrade from Area 6 is Wall 1, and the Wall 1 is going to be used in Area 2 to get to Area 7. So I've got a bit of backtracking. You know, the past couple of weeks have been pretty sensory overwhelming for me. I haven't had a lot of breaks, so why don't you tell me about the charity that we're raising money for?
Well, yeah, if you've been experiencing some sensory overload, Take This has traveled to various conventions, such as the PAX events, to set up their AFK rooms. Professionally staffed, safe, and accepting spaces available for anyone who needs a place to regain their calm. They also run a Discord server for online events, AFK Online. Volunteers will offer resources and support, while moderators will maintain a calm, relaxing space. For both of these programs, you can visit takethis.org for more information and a link to that server. There is no hubris on that server.
Oh, thank you so much. I have been treating my space at home as an AFK space as of late. So, like,
Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
what you gotta do. Ow. Taking some damage. So I guess while I'm here, I will go ahead and point to some other significant differences between the US and Japanese versions. The first one is that the US version only has 4 continues. If you take a game over a 5th time, then you're not going to... it's going to put you back at the title screen. So you gotta know what you're doing, but also, if you're gonna use continues in order to warp back to cut down on the number of backtracking that you do, well, you can only do it 4 times. The Japanese version, however, has unlimited continues, so you can take a game over whenever you want there just to reset. That helps cut down on time, and also generally makes it easier. Like, if you put enough time in, you will beat the Japanese version. You just need to put in enough attempts. But another significant difference, and probably one of the main reasons that I'm playing the US version right now, the thing I mentioned in Area 4 about each dungeon being just one big map, well, the same thing is going to apply to Area 7, and it is possible in Area 7 on the Japanese version to go to the first dungeon and boost over the lava in the dungeon to get to the final boss room. It is not possible in the US version as far as we know. The gap is a little too much, and somehow in the Japanese version we have some way to just take damage again while we're in the lava to extend that boost a little bit. But the other thing is that that boost works both ways and is done in the Warpless category, and I just didn't feel like doing it today. Instead, I want to do this level normally. It just... listen to this tune. It rocks. It's so good. Anyways, Area 7 is probably one of the longest levels because it's divided into a lot of straightaways. and stuff. I suppose one other thing worth mentioning is that there's more than one way to basically skip the most of the level to get to the final dungeon. The way I mentioned earlier, skipping over the lava is a Japanese version exclusive, but in the US version, it's possible to use a series of door wraps and stuff to basically go from the beginning of the level to the end, but you end up abandoning the tank to do so again, so it's not viable in a US Warpless run. But it is viable in a US any percent run. Oh, we've got some lava boosting here, so watch out. I'm gonna focus. That first one's the toughest. The rest of it is usually pretty easy, but the first one is the toughest, but there's gonna be like 2 more. Go up here, and then there's going to be 1 more, but the last one is free. You just hold the up button on the D-pad and you'll go right across. And then we get to the boss of Area 7, called Solar Fred. For Area 4, you might have to be off position a little bit and wait for that first jump before you can go to the top, but for this boss, you can go straight to the top immediately. And then he delays a little bit on opening his mouth so you can line up more easily. Ow. I unpaused just a little bit early on that. The upgrade for this is Wall 2, which is easily one of the worst Blaster Master sequels of all time. And yes, I have played Blaster Master 2 for the Genesis. It's not as bad as its reputation suggests. Blaster Master 2, I mean. It's not good, but it's not bad. Anyways, Wall 2 is basically what happens when Spider-Man first learns wall crawling and he's accidentally sticking to everything. So when you drive over a ledge, Wall 2 will engage and keep you on that ledge, so you can no longer drive off of ledges in order to go down. You must jump down. But if Wall 2 engages, then it will override your jump button, so you stick to the wall and you find yourself clinging to a wall that you didn't mean to be clinging to. And
kind
then,
of the opposite of coyote physics, really.
Kinda, yeah. I never thought of it as like the polar opposite to coyote frames, but yeah. Although I imagine that Wile E. Coyote, would have some fun with Wall 2. But anyways, there are ways to deal with Wall 2. So Wall 2 only engages if you are pressing the... oops, I did not mean to jump there. That's right, I still made that. Yeah, Wall 2 only engages if you're pressing the D-pad when you go over the ledge. So if you let go of the D-pad, then it won't engage. If you manage to jump before then, it won't engage, and it can be helpful sometimes to, let go of the D-pad, jump, and let the momentum of the jump carry you. But the other thing is that it will only engage at a specific distance from the ledge, so if you somehow manage to land past that point, you can press it again and it won't engage. So, jump once, land on the edge, then jump again, which is actually really difficult. But we're going to Area 8, which almost seems like it was designed with the idea that Wall 2 would make you do things you don't want to do there, because Area 8 is by far the most difficult area in the game, minus maybe the bosses. Area 8 is basically your obligatory biology level final for an NES game. I burned my one hover to get up there faster, which is kind of silly because this is like the one stage where you really don't want to be wasting your hover. In particular, there are jumps like this one where hover would speed it up a little bit, reduce some of the risk, Ouch. I'm taking a little bit of damage here. This room is particularly designed to make you to use hover to actually get over that ledge, otherwise Wall 2 will send you down, but the right jumping can get you over it without any use of hover. Then this room is called the Heckway, PG appropriate name, ow, because there are spikes here. Wall 2 is trying to send you into those spikes. There are worms dropping down. These worms are normally too short for you to hit with your tank's turret, so they're kind of expecting you to get hit, knocked around, knocked into the spikes, take a lot of damage. But once you get past the Heckway, then usually it's a free shot to the final dungeon, because that's the most difficult room in the game, and the remaining rooms, while they have a lot of enemies, that just means more opportunities to get health refills. So, yeah, we've got one more room here, which will be just a whole bunch of blocks and some spikes, but it's fairly easy to navigate. You go into the final dungeon, and then we're going to have not one, but two bosses here. So if you've seen the NES cartridge, then the beast that is on the cartridge, we're going to fight it right here. That's called the Plutonium boss. And I'm doing a variation of the grenade glitch. While the boss won't take damage if the game is paused, pausing will run down his iframes, so you can actually do a lot of damage this way by rapidly pausing and unpausing. But then we have the final boss here, the Underworld Lord, and there's pretty much two different ways to deal with this boss. Most runners will just stand at the top of the screen and mash the grenade. As long as you're doing damage to the boss, he can't hurt you, but you gotta mash pretty fast to make that happen, and I'm not very good at mashing, so instead I prefer to just safe spot him right here. Time is going to be when the game fades to black. And time. Hey, I'll
Very
take.
good run.
Thank you so much. I'll take it. Only one death. None in areas 4, 5, and 7 or 8. I will take it. This is a hard game.
You had a time of 39:42, I want to say.
Sub 40? Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I think my PB is a low 38, but that low 38 got the Area 5 boss glitch, so sub 40 is really good. But yeah, this is the very first game I ever learned to speedrun, and this is the very first category I ever learned to speedrun. And that was way back in 2006. The first posted Blaster Master run on Speed Demos Archive was me. So there's a bit of there's a bit of history going on indeed. Shoutouts to Uranium Anchor in chat, another veteran of the run. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for showing off such a great game for a great cause. Take this organization, takethis.org, and stick around because we've got a lot more fun stuff in store. We're going to be coming up with Tiny Toons Adventure 2, Montana's Movie Madness Any Percent with Jangle Storm in just a few moments. But for right now, please stick around. If you haven't already, definitely go ahead and hit !donate to donate. And we'll see you on the other side. Thank you again, David.
Very thanks.